What up? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everybody. Say hi. What's up? All right. Thank you so much for spending time with us. So say hello out there. Where you guys from? Okay, put there in the chat there. Apa ni tu? Ya, kita mix, okay? Kita mix between bahasa English atau bahasa Malaysia. Hopefully everybody okay with it. Kita bagi tahu shout out di sana. Anda dari mana? Supaya kami boleh tahu. Oh, ada juga dari sana. Oh, ada juga. Kalau cakap Sabah, bagi tahu di mana area Sabah tu. Okay, kalau kamu di Semenanjung, which area, and then yeah, from Sarawak as well. So yeah, welcome. So thank you, really appreciate a little bit delay, but apologies on that. But no matter what, we still go on. Yeah, all right. Today, before I'm gonna start, I'm gonna share with you this initiative. All right, your voice, our future. All right, is salah satu bincangan dalam blueprint untuk beri fokus untuk building dan nurturing talent di Sabah, salah satu network dan sharing ilmu seperti ini, right? So, SINIC ataupun Sabah Creative Economy dan Inovasi Center bergabung usaha bersama NGO dan grassroots untuk jayakan inisiatif seperti ini. Okay, gabungan pakar dari pelbagai bidang termasuk talent dalam dan luar bandar. Okay, harapan ini anda semua dapat bermanfaatlah kepada anda semua. Alright, so Assalamualaikum, good evening. Saya Irwin Ke, your moderator. And thank you so much for all the viewer, including the Facebook live as well. So today, you guys are very fortunate that ada dua amazing person that very good, that I understand that really love about history about North Borneo. So we have today here, we have both from Labuan and also Sabah, so they can share their perspective during the World War II. All right. So without further ado, our first speaker today, I'm gonna share with you guys, right? With is Mr. Willie Teo, okay? Merupakan anak jati Labuan yang dilahirkan pada 1949, okay? Beliau memasuki alam persekolahan sekitar 1963 di St. Tony Labuan. Is memang that sekolah, siapa orang Labuan memang tahulah tempat tu, one of the legend school. Okay, seterusnya melanjutkan pelajaran di Government English School. Okay, now dikenali sebagai SMK Labuan sehingga 1967. Okay, beliau mendirikan rumah tangga 1973 dan dikurniakan 2 orang anak. So, beliau mulakan kerjaya dalam bidang penerbangan seawal 18 tahun di Borneo dan pernah berkhidmat dengan syarikat penerbangan Malaysia Singapore Airline. Ni bagi siapa yang masih ingat those days, right? Gabungan dan juga Singapore Airline sebagai traffic officer dan senior traffic officer. Anyway, pengalaman pengembara dan menjelajah merentasi berbagai negara menjadi beliau seorang pencinta sejarah, mudah didekati dan mendorong beliau terlibat aktif dan aktiviti kemasyarakatan. Di Labuan memang legend, beliau pernah membuka sebuah syarikat agensi pelancongan. Alright, itu adalah our first speaker. Kalau boleh kita mau juga tanya khabar kan kita punya first speaker. How are you, Mr. Willie?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. Hello everybody out there.
Alright, saya belum lagi tu explain you punya sumbangan dan juga pengiktirafan itu nanti dulu, hutang dulu. Panjang itu. Okay. Kemudian saya juga ingin share dengan kita punya speaker kedua, iaitu Richard Ke, founder North Borneo Historical Society. Hello, how are you, Mr. Richard?
Hello, Arvin. Very good here. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Yeah. But before that, don't forget lah, Richard Ke is a founder of the North Borneo Historical Society, a digital-based NGO in Sabah, have more than 66,000 followers locally and worldwide. Cakap depan-depan, and aim to provide platform for everyone to share research and achieve Sabah history for the world using technology. So Richard was originally from Tawau, and he is now attached to the global technology company. Nanti dia akan sharing lah. So memang Mr. Ke memang Richard memang banyak topi juga, especially in the global startup innovation ecosystem, and previously attached to the two government agency to develop the tech industry in Malaysia. All right, welcome. How are you? I know you just came back from Sabah, right? How's
Ya,
everything?
saya 1 minggu di Sabah baru-baru. So balik, just balik KL lah nih, hari ya, 2 days ago lah, 2 nights ago.
You memang Superman, seriously. And then sampai sejak and then buat ni. So apa ni, kami bagi ada rest dulu Yos, since you are speaker tu. So kita bagi
Okay.
laluan dulu dengan Mr. Willy untuk share daripada Labuan. So as you guys know, North Borneo was Labuan and Sabah together. So let's hear from Mr. Willy Teo regarding perspective on the World War II during those days. Yeah, please.
Hi everyone out there. I'm Willie. Tonight I'm going to share a little bit. It's an overview of the war here and a little bit of the Remembrance Day and also the war cemetery here. Just to give you a little bit of background of the places in 1941, of course, Labuan was part of the Strait Settlement, which consisted of Singapore, Malacca, and Penang. And of course, here we had a British resident by the name of Mr. Humphrey. That's all in 1941. So same year in Sarawak, of course, it was under rule of the White Raja. That was Charles Vanderbroek. And in Brunei, it was the Ahmad Tajuddin. It was the 27th Sultan of Brunei. And of course, in Sabah, the North Borneo Chartered Company, that was under Governor Robert Smith. So I'll say a little bit about Sarawak. There was only one garrison, a British garrison, during those days. That was the 2nd 15th Punjab Regiment. And they had detachment also in Miri and in Syria. That's the old town. And in other parts, like in Labuan, of course, there was no garrison. We only have the police force here, which number about 30 people only, with a senior, a senior police inspector as the OCPD here. So the war in this part here, for the Japanese Imperial Force, they have assigned the 35th Infantry Brigade together with the 124th Infantry Regiment under the command of Miyotake Kawaguchi. So Japanese attacked Malaya on the 8th of December 1941. And the British High Command gave orders to the British administrator in the Borneo states to destroy, facility, all installation, and etc., which they did. So the 2nd 15th Punjab Regiment, which was the detachment based in Syria, in Lutong, Miri, did that and destroyed all installation and the facilities there and retreated back to Kuching. So the Japanese landed in Miri and in Syria on the 16th of December 1941. And of course, they moved very fast. By the 24th of December, they were down in Kuching. And finally, they came over to Labuan from Brunei. They only have sent 2 platoons here under the command of Lieutenant Koyama. So that time, of course, Mr. Humphrey, the resident, of course, had presented himself to the Japanese, and he was actually put into a cage, and he was badly beaten also, and put out in the front lawn near the courthouse or the office, or for the people to see. So on the 3rd of January, the Japanese took formal possession of the island here. So by the 3rd also, they were in Beaufort, and by the 9th of January, they were in Jesutan, and finally, on the 19th of January, they were down in Sandakan. Down in Labuan, so you can see the picture here, that was on the 1st of January. They came onto Labuan and that building behind is actually Harrison and Crossfield. So they landed in two places, one the Harrison Crossfield Wharf, and the other one is Government Jetty. And here in Labuan, they were trying to build airfield. So to build the airfield, of course, you need manpower. And at that time, there were no prison of war. So the local able-bodied men, had to do the work. So these people had to, of course, were under the Japanese, so treatment was a bit harsh. In fact, they were so badly treated, some of them actually died. Of course, later part, they sent about 300 British POW who were captured. And of course, they were here for 6 months only. And by the end of 6 months, not many of them left. And then also they have Javanese from Java. There were about 3,000 of them. You'll be surprised to hear that. And by the end of the war, when the Allied liberated Labuan, there were only 600, about 650 left. And in fact, they were also joined by about 131, if you remember Albert Koch, which Richard would tell you later. 131 of them was actually sent here also to do the airfield. So by the end of the war, only 7 of them were left alive. Now, okay, back to the airfield. They actually built 2 airfields. One unmanned airfield, which is about 4,900 feet long and about 850 feet wide. And that airfield, of course, we're still using it today, which is, of course, has been extended many, many times. There's another airfield, and this is very small. It's only about 2,500 feet long and about 200 feet wide only. That's mainly for spotter planes. That's located near, in the old days, they call it Timbali, which is near Surrender Point or Layang-Layangan. So now, back to the main airfield. At that time, if you remember this name, I think Maeda, General, his full name is General Toshinari Maeda. Of course, he was commander of the Japanese forces in in this part of British Borneo. So he was flying from Kuching to Labuan on the 5th of September 1942. But unfortunately or fortunately, he died in an air crash. So by 9th of December, the same year, by order of General Tojo, this island was renamed as Maeda Shima or Maeda Island. So that's how Labuan became, has this name Maeda. But of course, that didn't catch on for very long. So now forward to 1945. In 1945, plan, were organized by the Allied forces to liberate Labuan and British Borneo. So they hatched out. So you had Operation Obo. So Operation Obo was actually assigned to the 9th Division of the Australian Imperial Force. And of course, that division was under, the command of General George Wooten. And in this area here, General MacArthur was the commander of the Southwest Pacific area. So Labuan was slated for Obo 1, supposed to be in May, but of course that didn't happen due to circumstances. So Obo 1 instead went to Tarakan. So part of the 9th Division, there's a 26th Brigade landed in Tarakan on the 1st of May. But we in Labuan finally got Obo 6 under Operation Obo 6. And of course, Obo 6, we had 2 brigade, that's the 20th Brigade and 24th Brigade, which I explain later. So on the 7th of June 1945, a task force arrived in Brunei Bay to clear the mines. But unfortunately, on the 8th of June, a US ship called USS Salute struck a contact mine at about 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, killing 9 out of the 105 crew. And that ship, of course, is still in the bay. So one of the very first casualties were Americans. Of course, we know a lot about the 9th Division and a lot about Australian. Actually, the Americans were also involved in this war. They had the 593rd Engineer Board and Shore Regiment, which provided a lot of this logistic, way the boats, the LST, the LCI, this landing craft and all those sort of, ships and the small riverine vessel that goes up to river, like in Sabah, like Menembok River and all these places in Limbang. Anyway, talk about more about that one here. So the main force left Morotai on the 4th of June 1945 with a convoy of about 85 warships. And this is actually one of the big amphibious assault or operation undertaken. That operation, this amphibious operation was under an American Admiral Forrest Royal, and his flagship was the Rocky Mount. And of course, the American Air Force also played an important role in the 5th and the 5th and the 13th U.S. Air Force based in the Philippines, and also the RAAF, which is based in Morotai. So the 4th they left, and then arrived here on the 10th. So 10 was actually designated as Z Day, or like you say it in Normandy, the D Day. So there's an Operation Obo 6 Z Day was on the 10th of June 1945. So before the landing here, of course, they had bombing run by the Americans and also the Australians. So first day, they landed on the 10th, which was actually a Sunday. They landed Labuan at about 9:15. So we had the 9th Division. Embedded with the 9th Division, the American troops also, the 727 Tractor, the Amphibian Tractor Battalion. So you see, it's quite interesting, the Americans were actually quite involved. So it was a simultaneous landing here and in Brunei. So we had two brigades, one, the 20th Brigade, went over to Brunei, landing in White Beach and Green Beach. And the other one, we had the 24th Brigade that landed in Brown Beach. So, of course, the first day, they captured Victoria Town and also the airfield and the government house. So fighting went on for a while, and finally the Japanese were concentrated in an area called the Pocket. So those living in Labuan, is along Jalan Arsat. So it's not very far from the town. So fighting went on. So they had problem because they were hiding in the hills and back into the hills. So finally, on the 20th of June, well, about 80 of them broke out from this area and attacked Victoria Town, killing quite a number of Americans and also Australians. So the 24th of June, the Australians sent in the military tanks and the forks with a flamethrower. So finally, fighting ended on the 21st of June. So everything went quiet from then. So troops that were here, they have, like I would say about the 24th Brigade have three battalions. One of the battalion went over actually very early on the 17th to Western, and I finally ended up in Papar. So here on the 19th, after mopping up here, so 19th, the 2nd 43rd Battalion went over to Mumpakul and on to Beaufort. That's where Tom Starchfield actually won a Victoria Cross. So the picture here you can see, this is Gerald MacArthur. Gerald MacArthur actually was the commander of the Southwest Pacific area. He actually arrived Labuan. He actually was on board USS Boise. On the way, when the man battle group traveled from Morotai to Labuan, so he actually he came from Philippines in this US ship called USS Boise, so he made up somewhere on the north coast of North Borneo. So he was here on the 10th after the landing, about 11 o'clock. So after the 21st of June 1945, as I said, fighting died down and everything was quiet then. So the Japanese finally surrendered on the 9th of September 1945. That time it was General Masao Baba. Masao Baba was, of course, Commander 37 Japanese Army. So now we look at the photo here. You can see a clock tower. This clock tower was actually very, I can say, very memorable to the Australian war veteran. This this clock tower was actually um, donated by a merchantman from Malacca who was doing business here in the 1930s. So this clock tower was where all the where all the Australian meet in the evening. So this was the place where the rendezvous. So a lot of these veterans that came back here was looking for this clock tower, and it's something that very memorable to them. So the local government has built a replica of this clock tower, located now, not in the original place, but near the Sea Sport Center. If you ever come to Labuan. So now back to the surrender. The surrender, like I said, took place on the 9th, but General Baba, he was in Kuching. He only flew in here on the 10th. So on the 10th, when he arrived here in the morning, he was escorted to Layang Layang or Layang Langan. That's where the headquarters of the 9th Division was located. And of course, later part in the afternoon, he surrendered to George Wooten, General George Wooten, commander of the 9th Division. He handed over his sword there and signed the peace treaty. General Baba, that's General Baba, and the big man there behind is General George Wooten, right? So General Baba was actually later tried in Rabaul, where he was actually executed by hanging. So in this place, the Lang Layang, or now we call Surrender Point, that was where the headquarters was of the 9th Division. Uh, they also had what they call as the trial later in this place also. And it was also in this area, if you remember, those who have read about the Death March, Colonel Suga, he also committed suicide on the 16th September, in this surrender point also. Um, so that ended, the war in this area here. But of course, there were other surrenders also. On the 11th of September, the surrender took place in Kuching. That was General Yamamura. He surrendered to Brigadier Thomas Eastick on board the ship called HMAS Kapunda. And then here in Labuan again on the 13th, this Colonel Otsuka, of course, he was commander of the Sindakan forces. He surrendered to Colonel Clem Cummings, was the also the commander of the first beach group in Sindakan. So finally, on the 17th of September, General Akashi, commander of the Keningau Tandem Forces, he surrendered to Brigadier Selwyn Porter, commander of the 24th Brigade. So that ended the war in this part of Borneo. Of course, later Richard will tell you more interesting story about Sabah and the war. So then the rest of Labuan and North Borneo, Sarawak, and all that were placed under British administration. So that lasted until 1947. On the 15th of July, okay, now we see picture up there. So this was actually during the trial. So this is a Japanese, the Japanese interpreter and one the prisoner of war. This was taken in Surrender Point or Layang Layangan. So Labuan was under British administration. So on the 15th of July 1947, it was put together under together with North Borneo to become the colony of British North Borneo. So that ended the war, and Labuan and North Borneo were back to colonial rule. So that's a bit about the war in this part here. So just an overview. So now I'll tell you a little bit also about Remembrance Day. Because I've got to keep my time. Remembrance Day is, of course, originated from the First World War during the 1914 to 1918 war. It was 4 long years fighting, in the Western Front. So in 1918, the Germans, you know, was asking for amnesties from the Allied forces. So on the 11th of November 1918, three representatives from the government, three officials from the German government, accepted, the unconditional surrender and the terms of surrender from the Allied commander, General Foch of the French army. So at the 11th hour, on the 11th day, on the 11th month of 1918, the guns on the Western Front fell silent. So, all fighting ceased during that time. So in 1919, the next year, the the League of Nations and the Commonwealth signed the Treaty of Versailles. So that finally ended, officially ended the war. So Remembrance Day was actually known as Armistice Day in the old days. So that was commemorated on the 11th of November each year. So during this Armistice Day or now Remembrance Day, you will see that red poppies have been worn. So this red poppy actually originated from the fields of Flanders. So in Flanders is actually in Belgium and northern part of France. So there are a lot of these poppy flowers growing there. In fact, there was a Canadian officer called Lieutenant Colonel Beckery. So he wrote actually a poem, The Fields of Flanders. It's a beautiful poem also. So after 1919, Armistice Day, as I said, was observed on the 11th of November every year. So also, this the Royal British Legion was formed in 1919. So they adopted the poppies as the emblem. So later part after World War II, the British government, decided to change Armistice Day to as Remembrance Day to incorporate those who died also during Second World War. But in Australia, the Governor General proclaimed, I think that was in October 1977, made, issued a proclamation changing Armistice Day to Remembrance Day also. So every year we celebrate here in Labuan or commemorate Remembrance Day on the Sunday nearest to 11th of November. But of course, sometime 11th of November also falls on a Sunday. So it's actually a very interesting and memorable event. Those who have not actually, um, have not actually attended one, would be nice if they come, each year to remember all these brave men, who actually died, for freedom. So during Remembrance Day, we have the central part of the ceremony. We have the last pose, and then we have 2 minutes of silence and reveille, or sometimes called rouse. So the last pose actually also originated, very early, adopted from the British. So so in the evening, the last post actually is sounded, in the evening before going to bed. So in the old days, of course, in the 17th century, they had drums that go around from first post and then up to the last post, and then the bugle will blow its last post there, signaling the end of the day and a sentry to be alert. And also, those, who are still out in the pub or somewhere, go back to the barracks and all, to retire. So reveille or rouse is sounded in the morning by the bugler to wake up early, and we have the 2 minute silent. 2 minute silent actually was adopted also, by actually by King Joseph V. Of course, Lord Milner actually asked and suggested that they have 2 minute silent, but this was actually accepted and then incorporated into Remembrance Day to remember all those who died, with the 2 minute silent. So here like I said, every year, Labuan, we actually commemorate Remembrance Day quite on a big scale. And normally, but this year we only have a partly, hybrid visual. But normally we'd have the full event. We have the pipes and the drums, bagpipes and everything. But however, this year, due to pandemic, so we use a small scale. So a little bit about the war cemetery. As you can see here, the picture, these are all, the graves. Uh, the war cemetery is officially called the Labuan War Graves. In this cemetery, there are 3,908 graves. Almost half of them are unknown. They consist of the British, Australian, Indians, New Zealanders, Malayans, and those also from Borneo in the old days. So they are taken from, after the war, they are taken from Kalimantan, Indonesia, Sarawak, Brunei, and North Borneo, all to be buried here. Um, we have, if I can show a picture of the panels. So we have this. Okay, this body here monument is dedicated to the in the second 15th Punjab Regiment, the Indian regiment I was talking about earlier. So here also, you have Muslim, Sikh, and Hindu buried in this plot here. In fact, in this plot there are also two special Z unit, belong to the Australian, who are also buried in this little plot here. So they are mainly here, the Punjab regiment. So we have also those who has no known grave. They are actually listed on the panels in the colonnade. Maybe you can show the picture of the colonnade, please. Yep. This is the forecourt or the colonnade. When you enter from the main gate, you come to this forecourt or the colonnade, as you enter. So here, they are altogether 33 panels, including one for the volunteer force and the police forces of North Borneo, Sarawak, and Brunei. So they are altogether 2,327 names on all these panels. So some of the names actually belongs to those unknown graves. So it's very interesting if you come here. These are mainly from the 8th Division who were taken prisoner, and these were the ones actually that did the death march from Sandakan to Ranau, a distance about 260 kilometers away. That will leave it to Richard to tell you about Sabah. Okay, so we come to the cross of sacrifice here. Uh, Next picture, please. So this is the cross of sacrifice. This is a very common feature in all Commonwealth war cemetery. This was actually designed by a man called Reginald Bloomfield after the First World War in 1919. So this cemetery started in 1945 and officially opened on the 28th December 1945. Then in August 1947, it was handed over to the Imperial War Grave Commission. So they started reconstructing this cemetery and started building. And then on the 10th of June 1953, that was the 8th anniversary of the landing of the Allied Forces Labuan. So it was officially opened by Major General Sir Ralph Horn, who was the governor of North Borneo at that time. And during the unveiling of this cross of sacrifice, an address, from the then Prime Minister of Australia, Mr. Robert Menzies, was read. So this is a little bit about the war cemetery. So here every year, this is where Remembrance Day is held. In other parts, of course, in Sabah, they have the Sandakan Day, which is commemorated on the 15th of August each year also. So it is good that if any one of us or you out there who are free, come and attend Remembrance Day or Sandakan Day. It is good to continue the tradition of remembrance, to come and remember all these people, some of them very young, just not even 18 years old, who sacrificed and fought, for the cause of freedom and the freedom we enjoy today. Lest we forget. thank you so much, and I hope this little sharing, um, will open up a bit of the war and the cemetery and Remembrance Day. And thank you so much. Cheers,
Thank you
everyone.
so much, Mr. Willie, with your vast experience. I hope that audience, our viewer there, get more knowledge about this. I hope those, I also pass around to the filmmaker out there who want to do a historical, especially in the Borneo, or you want to choose the North Borneo, right? Here we have excellent history knowledge, Mr. Willie and Richard. For your information, Mr. Willie have been a lot of do sumbangan, give sumbangan and pengiktirafan as well. The knowledge is very hard to get and very play a vital role, especially during the Remembrance Day, guide. And I know you are also the penasihat kehormat Labuan Tourist Guide Association. That's the first time I really get to know you more. I heard you since I was child, but finally I get to know more during when I apply license lah for tourist guide. And then
Thank
of course,
you.
and then you also beriktiraf penghargaan daripada British High Commission in United Kingdom, as well as the Australian War Memorial and Australian High Commission, dan mendapat penghormatan tertinggi, dan juga diundang menghadiri sambutan ulang tahun kelahiran Queen Elizabeth II pada 11 Jun 2015. Wow. Hebat, hebat. And also diiringi oleh apalah Putera Edward, Duke of York, semasa lawatan
That,
baginda ke Kota Kinabalu dan Labuan sempena Remembrance Day. Oh yes, of course. For until now, you are very known as a coordinator of Remembrance Day. Thank you so much,
yep, thank
Mr. Willie.
you.
And and
Thank you,
also,
Edwin.
yeah, and also I also for those young the sacrifice from the fallen soldiers, we also have a provide a video to showcase for especially for this. Okay, we just happened recently, like 3 days ago. We straight away do it,
Yes.
compile. I hope you guys enjoy the video about 3 to 4 minutes before we gonna move to next speaker. Okay, please. We're gonna share this video about it. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. Yeah, thank you. Okay, cheers,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right, all right, all right. I hope you guys enjoy this video that we compile like very very few days only, kind. Of course, we want to give credit to those yang apa nih yang memang making this video, especially to Cynic Sabah Creative Economy and Innovative Center of Borneo Film Infinity and BF team, and of course in partner with the Market Blast, Person Shopper, Business Council, Bim Yaga Labuan Chapter, Tourism Malaysia, North Borneo Historical Society, of course, Uncle Willie, Mr. Willie, and also Empire Hornbill Travel Tours in Bahat. Thank you so much. All right, and before that, okay, we have something for you. You know, sengaja the best always save put for the last. We have prize, okay. Before we go for the second speaker, we have prize for you all, okay. So pay attention, not only from the first speaker, also the second. Okay, I want to tell you guys. All right, the first, okay, the third prize, okay, sponsored by Empire Hornbill and Travel Tours in Berhad, and valid only 1st May 2022. All right, so you have 6 months about that. So you third price, okay? You're gonna spend 2 days and one night with sedan, but you're not gonna with sleep with sedan. Okay, they have a twin sharing accommodation. All right, this third price is equivalent for 2 packs in worth of 300. All right. So there you go for the third prize, and then the second prize is sponsored by Market Best, Personal Shopper. Also the same valid until 1st May 2022. Also, 2 days, one night in Desa Tunas Hijau. So it's a one-time free access for 2 packs, ATV, paddleboard, and kayak. Ini memang whoever never been to Labuan kan, this is the time you just spend your ticket to air travel to Labuan back and forth, and maybe singgah to KK, you know. And then the first prize is worth of 600, also sponsored by Empire Hornbill Travel and Tour Sumberhat. And again, it's 2 days, one night. There is a MVP luxury car rental worth of it, 600. So there you go. Pay attention. Not only our first speaker and also our second speaker, Mr. Rashid. Please, people cannot wait to win the prize. There you go.
Okay.
Thank.
All right. Thank you, Arwin, for the introduction tonight, and thank you, Mr. Willie Teo, for your sharing session. Really, really glad to know more history about Labuan. That's actually my father's birthplace, Labuan. Yeah. So it's a lot of interesting places there. It's a lot of historical events that actually happened and that led to our liberation and our freedom today. So, of course, today I'm representing North Borneo Historical Society, the society I founded in 2011, basically to set it up to share Sabah's interesting history to the world using technology and social media channels. So, with tonight's topic, I'll be talking more on the historical uh, war history of Sabah in general. So starting from the days when it was invaded by the Japanese Empire and right until it was liberated. So of course, if you look at can I have my slide, please, guys? All right, if you go to full screen. Great. So thank you very much. So if you can see this beautiful poppy flower at the bottom right, yeah, I guess a lot of people do not know the significance of this flower, but I guess Mr. Willie Teo actually briefly explained just now. So these flowers normally they flourish when it was due to the explosions and due to the fighting of the during the First World War, and was a very common sight, especially in the Western Front, where the war happened during World War One. So the flower was actually provided by a Canadian doctor called John McRae, and he wrote a poem called "In Flanders Fields." So he wrote it and then talked about these poppy flowers, right? And then of course when he submitted his poem to this local publication called Punch, they call it there. And in 1918, there was this American humanitarian person called Moina Michael, and saw the poem, right, and then he used it to really commemorate using this flower to remember those who died during the World War One. So since and ever since, this flower has been a very symbolic item for the Remembrance Day. So that's why I think if you noticed the previous video that was shown, you saw some people were actually wearing this poppy flower. All right, so let's head straight to the next page. So I guess Mr. Willie T already explained to you about the introduction about the war, how it started. So it's very similar. If you see this photo here, it was taken on January 1st, 1942. It was when the Japanese landed in the Victoria Island, or Labuan, as you know today. And they docked at the Harrison and Crossfield building. So the next day, the Japanese landed on the mainland of Borneo, which is Mumpakul, also within the North Borneo territory. So after negotiations with the officers in charge in Jesselton, of course, there were no resistance at all. Basically, the Japanese just came and really took over Jesselton on January 8th. And was ever since the Japanese started to invade other towns within the territory. But if you look at the photos right in front of you, if you see the top right, those are some of the propaganda posters developed by the Japanese Empire, showing that they said, "Oh, we really want to invade um, Borneo. We want to invade Asia." If I'm not mistaken, what is written there. And if you look at the bottom right photo, that's actually Japanese paratroopers. They were actually, prior to the invasion that happened. So that actually was taken in December 1941, before they started to embark on doing all the invasion within Borneo. So it is actually a very critical time for all the different territories within that region. As you know, a lot of the invasion was actually there was a mastermind by a person, which I will actually explain in the next slide. So can we go to the next slide, please? So if you look at this map, this is actually very an interesting map, because it was published by the Japanese Empire back then. So after they have liberated all the different territories within the Borneo Island, so what they did is, in this 1943 map, they basically splitting the all the different territories to a different name. So, for example, on the west coast of Borneo, or British North Borneo, including Jesselton, Labuan, they name it as Seikai Shu. And on the east coast, like Tawau and Sandakan, on the bottom right, actually, if you look at the bottom right photo, they call it Tokai Shu. And some other regions, like for example, around the Sarawak area, especially near Kuching, they just call it Kuching Shu. And the third division around Cebu area, they call it Cebu Shu. And finally, Miri Shu. So basically, they rename everything, all the different territories. I think it's for the sake of to make it easier for them to manage all these different territories. And in fact, this map, when it was created, there were actually multiple maps when published. I think this was map number 12 out of 20 map series that was published. Can next slide, please. So, as I mentioned to you, a lot of this invasion was actually masterminded by some of the higher ranking officers in those days. So, there was this Japanese commander in chief of Imperial Forces of North Borneo. So on the 6th April of 1942, so just a few months after the occupation of Borneo, there was this person called Marquis Toshinari Maeda, which is also the same name, Maeda Island of Labuan, as Mr. Willie Teo mentioned just now. He was appointed as the commander in chief for Japanese forces in northern Borneo. That includes Sarawak, Brunei, Labuan, and of course North Borneo, right? So this guy, Maeda, he came from a very influential and a very rich family in Japan. So before his appointment, he was already retired actually from active duty and was placed on a reserve list. So because of the when the war started in the Pacific, when the Japanese started to bomb Pearl Harbor, Maeda was actually recalled. He was asked back to rejoin the service, and he was assigned as, of course, the commander in chief for the North Borneo operations or theater operations, they call it. But on 5th September 1942, so there was actually an execution process that was actually happening in Kuching. So there were actually five people that were actually caught because they were stealing petrol, and when the execution uh, process was executed, Maida was actually there in Kuching, and he witnessed the execution. But later, when he boarded the plane to return back to Labuan, where he was supposed to be based, he never arrived. And of course, a month later, his plane was found to crash near Bintulu or Tanjung Datu, they call it. So if you see the bottom right photo, that is actually the sort of like the his remembrance where actually the when the where the plane crashed. So it was actually a memorial. I think it, but it was, I believe it has been removed since then. Okay, next please. So if you look at during the occupation of North Borneo, right? So there was very little visibility of what's actually happening inside because all the British left, a lot of the expats left already. There was really no visibility of what's actually happening inside. So the of course there were newspaper articles that were still published, especially from Australia. Of course, they did a lot of speculation what's happening. It's always about, they were trying to the Japanese. The invasion is more on securing all the oil sources within Borneo itself, because that would actually help them for the war. So if you can see here, like for example, Empire State in Borneo, and they talk about countries and towns in war news from the Pacific and those kind of things. And perhaps the only Japanese news source that you can actually get some updates that's actually happening in Sabah back then, or North Borneo, it's called Sionan Shimbun, or actually Shonan Times, and they were actually widely distributed in Singapore. So if you're those people who used to live in Singapore, they will actually have records of this. But still, even with that, the news were heavily censored. They were, it's literally nothing. It's, you can probably hear some good news happening in North Borneo or very little news, but everything else it's very secretive and those kind of things. Next, please. So if you can see, this is one of the rarest photos actually that was actually taken. And if you notice that this photo that was taken on 22nd September 1942, it was actually, if you know where the Sabah Tourism Office is located today, that is actually the same building, which is the General Post Office. So of course, as you know, the Japanese, when they after they invaded, they wanted to find ways on how do they do transactions, monetary transactions, all the handling all the financial matters. So Yokohama Specie Bank was actually set up at the same location, and this is actually an interesting photo showing the Japanese taking photo together with the locals. And if you look at some of the items that were actually used then, like for example, the Japanese government issued currency, and they call it the banana currency, or in Malay, duit pisang. So why do they call it duit pisang, or banana money, it's because the $10 note is actually there's a photo, there's an image of a banana on it. So the Japanese dollar was in widespread use within the territories, actually including Malaya, Singapore, if not mistaken, and also Sarawak. Yeah, they use the same currency. But interesting, this on the stamp, they did not issue, as far as I know, they only use the existing ones, and of course, they just stamp with the Japanese characters on it. If you can see on that photo, can you go next, please? All right, so if you can see, this is a photo of Albert Kwok. It is actually one of the most interesting stories that actually happened during the war, because back then, of course, as you know, there were a lot of torture happening, especially the Chinese who were there in North Borneo, right? So they felt very suppressed, and they wanted to to revolt, to go against the Japanese. And so in 1943, what actually happened is, there were Americans near guerrilla agents actually controlled by the Americans near the Sandakan waters. So they were trying to influence the west coast of North Borneo. So back then there was this Sulu Iman, I believe he's from the southern Philippines. He contacted Albert Kwok, if you can see from this photo. So Kwok was actually a Sarawakian, but he settled in Jesselton. So Kwok managed to sail to the Sulu Islands and using a very small boat. And so he worked together with a Filipino leader called Alessandro Suarez. So they team up to plan something against the Japanese. So after he returned from that Sulu Islands, right? So he formed his own force called Overseas Chinese Defense Association in Mangatal, near Jesselton. So about 200 people enrolled into it. Of course, this is an underground association. They tried to hide this from the Japanese. So they were dispatching information. They were giving information to intelligence, to Americans, to Australians, about the all the Japanese activities that were happening around North Borneo. And of course, but the intensity of the abuse by the Japanese was getting really worse, and Kwok just couldn't really try to tahan sudahlah time to, so he started a strike. So on the night of the October 9th, he there were orders coming out to all the villages in Inanam, in Tuaran, and Talibong for an attack of Jesselton, right? So during the revolt, about 100 Chinese, armed only with parang, they just pakai itu parang. So with some of the support from the folks from the Sulu Islands, they really went all out and attacked the Japanese on the ground. So even the Dusun Murut, the Dusun and the Murut people, and some of the Sikh Indians also joined in to fight against the Japanese. So during the attack, I think about 60, based on the history, there were about 60 Japanese that were killed. And interesting, Jesselton was briefly liberated back then, but then of course because the Japanese found out about it, and then the reinforcement came from Kuching. They sent more Japanese troops. Of course, the Japanese, they were more powerful. They had more weapons, so they took revenge and killed those people who were involved in the revolt. So even the innocent people was slaughtered. If they said, "Were you involved?" Some of the people who were even not directly involved were even actually killed. So Kwok's followers, they hid in Penampang, hoping for the Zulu friends to come. But then the fighting, continued and continued, and for about 2 months, with the Japanese changing tactics and everything. So they actually gathered about 400 people, civilians, basically innocent civilians, and really saying that if you guys do not surrender, we will kill these 400 people. So Kwok and his team were had no choice, so they just have to surrender. So they surrendered on December 19th, and him and another 175 people, and even including those who were not involved, so they were killed. They were murdered in Patakas on January 21st, 1944. So that was actually what happened. So, but this was very little known until the Borneo was actually liberated. Can you go next one, please? So let's see some video during the liberation part. Um, let's just wait. Okay, please go ahead, guys. Play the video.
While waiting, okay, can play already. Okay.
24 B-24s flew from Morotai to Jesselton, terminus of Borneo's only rail line on the northwest coast, on December 17th. The liberators were given P-38 cover, and rendezvous was made about an hour before reaching the target. Expected enemy interception produced only 3 Jap fighters, all of which were shot down. The target, the Jap air base at Jesselton, was effectively bombed. This field, thought to be a Jap staging area, has 2 runways which were to be destroyed. Bombing from 10,000 feet, the Libs claimed 15 enemy planes destroyed on the ground, bearing out the previous report of snooper planes that Jap air activity had been observed at this field.
Right. So if you guys noticed that that was actually a very interesting footage that was actually taken during the bombing of North Borneo, actually Jesselton. So if you notice the footage just now, it was actually showing Tanjung Aru, or the current site of the KKIA. So this is a very, very rare footage that we discovered just about a couple of months ago during the lockdown, when we were very took the time lah to research and everything. So as you can see, can you go next slide, please? So I just want to share this another couple of more photos. So if you can see, that's another photo of bombing of Jesselton. If you're not mistaken, that is actually the current site of the horse race in Tanjung Aru. And if you see the top right, there is actually a photo taken in Sandakan. Similarly, it was the moment when the bombing took place. So there was a lot of bombing basically during that time, which destroyed a lot of the areas around North Borneo. And you will be able to see some of the footage later. I'll be sharing. So of course, the war ended um, on 10 September 1945, when the Lieutenant General Baba Masao of the 37th Japanese Army surrendered officially on Labuan Island. But of course, prior to that, there were actually a lot of many other historical events, like the Sandakan Death March, which is a huge part of the history that can be, we can really dive into and talk about it. But in fact, I did interview one of the writers of the book. You can check on our YouTube channel. There was actually an interview that took place, I believe it was last year. Can go to the next slide, please, and just go ahead and play the video. So this video basically showing after the liberation of North Korea. And what's interesting is it's in color. So this is we get to see how it looked like back then. Gives us a lot of glimpse of how it looked like in North Borneo in those days. Very colorful, people on bicycles and everything. And that is actually the one of the remaining buildings that actually just that was not burned down. Just opposite of Wisma Surya. That's the exact building. and this is how it looked like back then. It's very, it was actually damaged. So this is the general post office, where the site of the current Sabah Tourism Office. This building, a lot of the old buildings, shop houses were burned down because of the bombing mission, and a lot of the yeah, this is the railway station and clock tower, the Atkinson clock tower, Bollywood, in 2010. Some of the trains, more of the shop houses. And some of the most shop houses were actually restored after the war, but then after that they just demolished everything and changed to concrete. And people used to wear hats. As you can see, a lot of people were wearing them. All right, you can check this. The video is actually quite long. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Next, please. So of course, you want to talk about some of the war heroes, right? So a lot of these during the war, a lot of them, have contributed a lot in especially in the mission to liberate North Borneo. They were working very closely with the Allies and the Australians to get a lot of information and even saving some of them. So this guy, for example, this is a photo of Mr. Dick Majinal. He was a member of the local underground group, and he was the one who has been helping to smuggle food, medicines, and news to European civilians interned and quarantined stationed at the Berhala Island in Sandakan back then. So he was the first local to approach the prisoners of war, and of course providing them with a lot of information, especially the movement of the Japanese whereabouts, where are the location of the Japanese posts, all those kind of things. So this actually helped a lot in terms of for the Allies to strategize and for the re-invasion of Borneo in general. And some of the photos, if you see on the bottom right, those are some of the Japanese war criminals. Okay, next please. So this video is just to highlight some of the unsung heroes or the World War II local heroes. So after the war, basically after North Borneo was liberated, the Australians remained until late 1945 to restore the civilian administration. They oversee reconstruction efforts, supervising the surrender of Japanese troops and liberating former Allied prisoners that were held in camps around North Borneo. And of course, in 1946, the North Borneo and Labuan became the British Crown colony. and due to the massive, destruction in towns of Sandakan, Sandakan, especially because it was the former capital of North Borneo, right? So they chose Jesselton to be the new capital. So that was actually one of the reasons why they move it. So I guess, can you go next slide, please? So this is just some of the photos taken just after the war. A lot of the reconstruction effort to really rebuild North Borneo, because they were really, really in a bad shape after the war, especially. And people, they were starving. There was a lot of people couldn't get access to food and those kind of things. Horrible, horrible conditions. So that is why. And then of course, as the British took over, there was sort of like an annual report to show the progress and the development that took place in North Borneo right until the formation of Malaysia in 1963. Can you go to the last slide? All right, so this year is the 75th year since the war ended, and I guess I truly appreciate for this session, for us to be sharing to you about the importance of the war and how it affect people, how people they sacrifice themselves for our freedom today. So we would remember that. So of course this is part of the Remembrance Day, right? So hopefully we will be able to look at all this from different perspectives as well, because as you know, war and history and those kind of things, there are always stories from other people. So we try to be objective and consider all these different opinions. But I think from North Borneo Historical Society perspective, at least from my aspiration is, so hopefully one day we can create a war-related movie related to North Borneo, because we have so amazing history during the war. Imagine we can do, maybe working with Erwin's team, from producing a movie called something similar to like Saving Private Ryan, Letters from Iwo Jima, or like what Band of Brothers, for example. So that is my dream, at least maybe before I retire one day. So I guess that is just a very short sharing about the snippets of the World War II. Hopefully we can focus on certain topics very soon. And thank you very much for your attention.
Oh my God, that's a wonderful insight from Mr. Richard. And also, again, both of you are very valuable person, individual that can share this from Mr. Willie with the vast knowledge and also experience, and from all those tour guide experience with the company as well, and also Mr. Richard with the society that really people really care to share how much a wonderful, amazing the experience, where the good side, the happy side, the sad side as well. I myself also want to share that. I remember my Kong Kong or my grandfather sharing those World War in Japanese occupation in Labuan, in Layang-Layangan. Luckily my grandfather is the chef, and then before Allied came to Labuan for liberate. My as my grandfather or as a chef already eat and already had the lunch or did I think lunch, and then he went back to house, but the Japanese call all those the people that they know gather around, have a last supper, and then after that, boom boom boom. I think Mr. Willie really know about it, right? I'm more info about it. Want to share something? Unmute maybe.
Well, I think actually it's very interesting that your grandfather actually impart to you, what he knows. So that's very important because not many old people, will tell you about their story. Understandable because some of them went through quite bad times, so they don't want to think about it. So, but I do listen a bit, but not much they want to tell you, except they say, makan itu makan itu tapioca lah banyak lah selalu talk about food only tapioca will always be mentioned because it's one of the one of the plant that you can plant very easily Okay? Even though
Yes.
they don't have enough rice, what they do is cook bubur and I put a lot of tapioca inside. So that's how they survive lah. During the war.
That's right. That's right. It's. I hope that maybe for those audience, maybe you have some kind of story. Feel free to share in the comment, or from you can visit Mr. Willie, also Mr. Richard. Sharing if you care. These people that, for example, Mr. Richard already shared in the slide. Many of them is no longer in the world. So thank you so much for you guys for the sharing. So right now, I want to open a question to the audience, the viewer. Feel free to share or to ask any question related to North Borneo perspective in during the World War II. Maybe while waiting from the audience, maybe typing. I just want to share. Also, I haven't give much to reach Mr. Richard. Not only he's very no the founder of the North Borneo Historical Society, but also part of the startup. I don't know why he don't want to share, but I'm gonna share lah. Okay, Mr. Richard, I hope you don't mind. Um, thank you, thank you, thank you. So Mr. Richard also one of the co-founder, the largest drone services in the world, Aerodrome. So yeah, so can you imagine, not only in the tech world, in the startup, also amazing in the historical part as well. I hope you truly inspire to the Sabahan and also the Malaysian as a whole. Of course, Mr. Willie as well. Although consider retire, chill chill, but all this while you guide us, the especially the tour guide, not only to the youngster, you give inspiration to us to keep moving. Mr. Willie, because of you, that's the reason why we do this in the first place. You really give inspire to young generation as well. So yeah, thank you. By the way, is there any question? If there is no question, we gonna start. Now I see there's a 34 view. Lucky lah. I mean, the odds for you guys to get the grand prize is huge. So okay. So if there's no question, then I'm gonna move on to Kahot. Okay, everybody. I want everybody. I'll accept the panel. Unfortunately, panel, you guys are anak bulan. If you want to play, can. But yeah, for this is for the audience. Okay, none of the answer has been disclosed. Even my close try to begging, I don't disclose anything. This is fair and square, especially to our sponsor. So what I need you guys to do is go to kahot.it. Okay. Hey, ada satu question. Okay, okay. Please share. There's a one question. All right, good, 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 good. Before we go that, one question. Please share what. Care to share what is the question? What makes you want to form North Borneo Historical Society, Mr. Richard? This question to you.
Oh, okay. Ms. Monica, thank you for the question. So back then, when I was still a student, actually, I'm actually from Tawau. So my classmate and I used to we developed a website called Info Tawau back then to really share about Tawau's history to the world. Because back then, when the internet was still very new, a lot of people didn't know where Tawau was. So we built that website, and part of it is actually the history section. So I got quite interested with the Tawau's history. So while doing some research, I found out that then I discovered more about Sabah's history. But then when I was doing the research, I couldn't find any other place to find more information about Sabah's history at the centralized location. So I said, okay, couldn't find it. Why not I start one? So I started North Borneo Historical Society. Basically, it's a digital society where I put in all whatever I found online and put it there, and becomes a source of information for people to discuss about history, to talk about history, and to share about history. Also, of course, very much on Sabah's history. So that actually inspired me to start it in 2011. And what I'm very glad, I think through that through that effort, today we see a lot of different groups already on Facebook, like Sejarah Sabah and North Borneo Historical Journal or something like that. So it inspired and created more different groups where people, to learn more about Sabah's history. I think so. I believe I have sort of like achieved my objectives in that sense. But of course, I want to evolve this to something else to really add elements of technology. Because if you look at how Mark Zuckerberg mentioned about they're going to start something called Facebook going to turn into Meta or Metaverse, this will be the convergence of physical and virtual. So imagine in the very near future, you can experience Sabah's history by wearing a virtual reality mask, and you can be instantly in 1945 and experience how life was back then. So that is my next aspiration, to develop a North Borneo historical society. So I want to combine new technology and history and to make it really, really interesting, immersive for people to experience.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. And you did mention about making a movie, and I'm memang, before I die, let's do this, let's do epic movie. That's why it takes time to fight for sponsorship and people who are really interested to spend invest their time for the historical, at least lah kan one.
Yeah.
So,
I think make a
right.
short movie pun okay ba?
Yeah,
Make
yeah,
short,
yeah.
short
Short movie.
movie. Yeah.
True,
Yeah.
true,
All
true.
right.
Thank you. Question number two. I believe I want to go give this to the Mr. Willie about why our history book doesn't wrote about story. This story. Yan from Yan Yan.
But actually, this goes back actually to the historian. See, most of the historian, I think, they are based in West Malaysia. So, of course, now only awareness has been made. So we have a few people, one of them like Danny Wong. I think, he knows quite a lot. But again, it depends, um, history book in the school, if we talk about it, I think would be a bit difficult because they're vetted, of course. So it depends on who is talking and what sort of history are you talking. But if you're talking about facts history, you need somebody outside or the mainstream to write. I think Richard is one of them that I'm thinking of that who actually can contribute, to this sort of venture because he has a lot of materials and he is also very knowledgeable in this. So I think Richard, you should actually take up this challenge to write and put things in the what you can say in the proper perspective and talking really about what history is about with facts, you see. So you have all the backing, so they can't tell you this is not true. So I think, Richard, you should think about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. It's a big challenge.
Uh, that's great. You also venture to the education as well. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Willie. This question, I'm open for both of you. It's if you want to answer, it's an open question. Are from Kim Hin asking about are there any effort to document and curate stories about confrontasi with Indonesia? It's an open question for both of you. One, yeah, either want to pass or yeah.
Maybe I just answer partly because this is actually quite interesting because it is very much related to this historical event after the formation of Malaysia in 1963, whereby there were the Indonesians were protesting on the formation. They did not agree, and it was actually known as the untold war or something like that because a lot of conflict that happened, and mainly Tawau was the epicenter of this, where I'm from. So in fact, interestingly, over the last few years, I managed to encounter some people who used to live there in Tawau during those times. It's just that there are some snippets of histories here and there. I have not seen a real effort from anyone to really document and write this in a very more comprehensive way. But although there are certain books that are actually written by some of the military personnel who used to serve during the confrontasi or confrontation. So I guess hopefully this would spark more interest from our local Sabahans, maybe if those who are doing research in universities can focus on this topic about confrontasi, which is actually quite interesting as well. Because one of the things, for example, a lot of the new technologies back then that was also tested in North Borneo in Sabah. For example, the hovercraft that was invented in Britain or in the UK, they tested it in the waters of Tawau in Kalabakan. So it was very interesting, those kind of things. And if somebody can put this up in a proper book or even a documentary, I think it would be beneficial for us in Sabah.
Thank you, Mr. Rich, for the answer. Talk about the education a little bit. You know, when I was in the high school as well, like why Sabah in Sarawak subject only one subject, one topic only, right? Oh my, seriously. But yeah, somebody have to do something about it lah, because it's not really deep. Sayang, because this older generation of warga emas, it's not gonna be last there, so somebody have to do something about it. Yeah, yeah, especially the audience. All right, question 4 from Jeff. This one I open, if you do guys, where is the best place to find books about North Borneo? I have found it difficult to find many books about this area. I understand Mr. Willie did have your own author of a couple of books. Maybe Mr. Willie want to share?
Jeff, right. Hi, Jeff. It's Willie here. Books, of course, and it depends on what type of books you're looking for, Jeff. Um, War history, well, there are not very many, but there are a lot of Australian who actually writes about it, right? Like Leonard Silver, Dr. Kevin Smith, Bill Young, those about all the war. I think you can find it internet, they're on sale. In Sabah, there's a bookstore in Wisma, but I think that's no more there. I think they used to sell quite a few books about Sabah or North Borneo. I think Richard, maybe you can help a little bit there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think if you want to get some of those physical copies as well, I think there's this bookstore in Merdeka Square, Wisma Merdeka in KK in Kota Kinabalu. Ground floor. What's the name of the shop? Yeah, I forgot the name of the shop. They actually have some collection there, and you can buy them online. I believe they have, and also if you happen, Mr. Jeff, right? If you're, I'm not sure which part of the world you're from, but I believe you can also find. Sometimes you can find them on eBay Australia. There are quite of interesting books there. Some on Amazon as well. Quite a good mix, especially is related to the, for example, the World War II history, and you can find them there.
Richard,
Thank you. Yeah.
Jeff actually is from Australia. He's
From
living in
Australia.
Brisbane.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So
That is
from,
good, man.
yeah,
He
I've
was,
seen some.
when he
Seen
was
some
young,
on
he
eBay
was in
Australia.
Labuan. His father used to work in Labuan when he was young, in the 50s.
Wow,
So, he has actually fond memories of Labuan. Yeah.
great. Just to let you know, Mr. Jeff, right? I started something called the North group on Facebook, but this is actually a hidden group called the North Borneo Chronicles. So it's a group of people who used to live, expats especially, who used to live and serve in North Borneo, and they have a lot of interesting history. If you're interested to be part of it, what we're trying to do is to gather this history and these stories, and eventually, if we get the chance to get all these people who have these stories to write them and of course compile them into a book. I do not know. I don't have a timeline for this. It's just a work in progress. But if you want to be part of it, you can connect me on Facebook, and I'll add you into this group. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome insight. I think believe this is the last question. Also back to Mr. Willie. I want to meet you, Mr. Willie. I mean Labuan juga. Minat history begini. Mana
Lama
tahu
pun
lebih
ini
banyak
jangan apa
history.
ya. Ya,
When can I meet you?
well, we can meet up maybe for the next week. I'm quite busy. Well, maybe you can just drop me a line, then we can sort out and meet up. Yeah, why not? So I don't. Yeah, I think that should be able, right, to get through to me.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, for those yang apa, for those please register. There's a register link that Cynic already put. Fill up the form, and then yeah, let's connect with Mr. Willie as well. Yeah, or you can I'll comment there. So Zach or Mr. Willie is also there, or Richard. If you want to meet, if you are in somewhere. Okay. Without further ado, let's go to Kahot. All right. I hope everybody already go to Kahot. I'm gonna share screen. That okay, it's a quiz. It's just a 10 question in order to win top three. So easy. I hope you guys nail it. All right, I'm gonna share with Kahot. Hold on a sec. Um, tum, 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 tum. Okay, there you go. So once you go to count, feel free to key in the game pin 4061247. All right. Please put in your Facebook name would be nice so that we can detect you from there. One if you're a winner, and then yeah. All right, Hamdi already in. Wong MC, good. I hope you guys follow the Facebook. Would be great. If you're not, you are. It's all right. Just if you are the winner, please leave the comment. Okay, say you are number one, or say you are number two or number three by the end of this session. Leave in the comment there, and then we will communicate you from there onwards. And yeah, remember there's a six. While waiting, people register. There's bukan Irwin. Okay. Anyway, there's 6 months for you guys. The expiry of this top three prize. Again, while waiting, let me shout out again. What are the prize while waiting? Okay, so you guys are lucky because not much. The odd of your winning is high. So okay, the first prize 2 days 1 night with the MVP luxury car worth of 600, sponsored by Empire Hornbill Travel and Tours in Berhad. And then second prize from Market Blast personal shopper, which is worth of 400, 2 days 1 night in the Desa Tunas Hijau, one time free access with ATV, paddleboat, and kayak. All right, and the third prize is 2 days 1 night with accommodation of twin sharing hotel room worth of 300 and sedan car. All right, remember all this top three is valid for 6 months. All right, I hope you guys are ready. Then okay, without further ado, I think that's it, right? I hope. Okay, okay, we're gonna start. Yeah, no more. Three, two. Oh, okay, see ada tambah lagi. I thought already stopped. So I hope you guys ready. Okay, 27. Okay. Ini. All right. Okay. You know what? I give 1 more minute. I give 1 more minute. you know, because yeah. So if for the panels, if you want to join, you can join. But tidak kira lah badak bulan. So either way, there's a 27. We're gonna start very, 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 very soon. Okay, I think 27 is the highest already. No more movement. All right, good. Okay, cool. Okay, here we go. Question number 1. I hope you guys ready, okay? Okay, question number 1. 38. Okay. Sure. Lucky dapat masuk. Okay, here we go. 28 last. In 3, 2, 1, start to. Remembrance Day. Question number 1. Duk, duk. When did the Japanese force landed in Labuan? Habislah, Bab. Soalan satu sudah begini. Kalau saya kan, tidak ba. If you pay attention with the first speaker, for sure lah, boleh tahu. Masa almost. Just hantam saja, timbak saja, timbak saja. Alright. That's the answer. Only 3 people among all 27. It's alright. There's 9 more questions, alright? So yeah, the answer is the 1st January 1942. Alright, the next question is, it's okay. Remember, if like almost time, why not you just timbak saja kan? Mana tahu fluke shot. Alright, I bagi you last, habis lah ada hints. Okay, don't want to give you hints already. Okay, who are they? Yo way, pay attention ka. Roseanne Hazel. Okay, number 2, not bad. Chrisney, number 3. Oi, you guys very close. Okay, here we go. The next question, number 2. What was the Japanese name for Labuan during the war? I believe speaker number 2 did mention it. Speaker number 1 also, Mr. Richard also did mention it. You have even a map to show. Guys, I know you guys can do it. It's easy. Just tap like that. 3, 2, 1. It's only 32. Yes, that's a 2 answer day. No, this is like a bonus question. Yeah, it's a Meda Island. All right, Medashima as well. So if you answer blue and yellow, both are right. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay. Bruno, I don't know lah. That one. Okay, the next question, number 3. Oh, before that, whoa, somebody take over. Christine, not bad. Roseanne Hazel, number 2. Don't worry, you guys are very close. Nur Raiza, suddenly tiba-tiba muncul top 3. And then Norhati and also Imanisha. Salah, you guys almost there. Don't worry. Okay, question. Next one. Number 3 is, when did the Air Force landed in Labuan? Remember this picture that Mr. Willie already shared? I know the answer is almost there. If you Google, come on, you guys cheating. Don't do that. But either way, who was the fastest we count? Okay. Then, ta-da! Wow, majority of you answer very correctly. Yes, it's a 10 June of 1945. Siapa jawab? Not bad. Then let's see, who are they? Oh, see? Even though you answer wrong in the first question, you still can beat the rest. Noraiza, not bad. Wong MC, not bad. And Chrisney, Eels there. And yeah, suddenly Chelsea suddenly top 5. Okay, Roseanne Hazel, be careful there. Be careful. All right, let's go for the next one. Question number 4. What was the date of Japanese surrender in Labuan? Bila dia kalah? How long are the Japanese fight? I know, guys. Why the kiss question? No, wait. There will be a general question later on. 1820. Oh, 10. Whoa, majority of you guys, not bad. 9 September 1945. That is correct. All right, majority of you get the right one. Not bad. Meaning to say, tidak sia-sia lah bahkan for the last almost 1 hour 40 minutes. All right, next one. Hey, wow, Noraiza, you are in fire. Not bad. Wong MC, you are still top 2, and Jeff, Jeff, you are top 3. Not bad. See, you're no longer there. The rest, this is like somebody catching up. Nor Hati and also Han Robson. Not bad. Okay, the next one. Question number 5. We are almost halfway there. Who was the commander of Australian 9th Division at that time? All right, who are they? Because we are talking about North Borneo, right? We're talking about. So, who are they? The 9th Division is a legend. very legend division, but in this is the matter of this at that time. Who are this person? Tada, only four. Oh, General GF Wooten. You know, I know maybe some of you did do a Google. Nah, kena lah. I memang cari the closest. Siapa suruh? But anyway, not bad for the blue who answered the blue one. Yeah. So yes, I hope you guys kena lah from me. Okay, the next one. the, wait, Noriza. Wong MC, not bad. And Chelsea also top three. See, you're guys almost there. Okay, almost there. We are halfway already. So question number 6. Here we go. What date is Remembrance Day commemoration annually? Okay, I mean bila. Is it 9/11? Is it 10/10/10? Is it 12/12? I mean, seriously, guys, this is the most easiest question among all. So, only 15 people answer. Yes, that is correct. 11/11. And then, in fact, during the, few days ago, what we did is we almost, normally it was almost 11/11/11, and the time also 11/11 normally. And then they'd have a moment of silence as well to, to give remembrance love for the fallen hero. So yes, good job, guys. Good job. So we have few more questions to win the top 3 prizes. Okay, don't forget to leave a comment there. Okay, that you are who are you are, and then we're gonna communicate you from there. Okay, then Abis kena take over. Jeff juga lah harapan. You are harapan. Nuraiza, don't give up. Okay, don't give up. Wong MC, top 3. Okay, Han, and also Bukan Irwin. Seriously, Bukan Irwin. Who are this mystery guy? Okay, not bad lah. Not bad. You make yourself top 5 among all the 28 participants. All right. Okay. Adakah? Okay, let's go for the next question. Question number 7. You are 3 more questions almost done. The last pause in usually played by during the ceremony. Okay, this is talking about the Remembrance Day. What are the last pause? What are the they have the sequence, and then what are the last one? Is it taking picture? Taking picture. The last, the sequence during the ceremony. Nah, just tricking you guys. Yes, the answer is yellow. Alamak, taking picture, the majority. Habis lah. But it's alright, guys. I hope you guys are really having fun with this quiz. Okay, I just messing with you guys as well. Okay. Wow, Jeff. Bravo, Melina Amboy. Okay, number 2, and then the rest. No, there's no more Bukan Irwin, which is good. Nuraiza, Ahmad, Wong MC, and Han. You're almost there. Okay, yang top 3, you guys, top 2. Actually, you're far ahead, especially the top 1. So you have the chance to win the first place, right? Okay, the next question. Get ready. Number 8, where is Remembrance Day held in Labuan every year? Is it Dataran Merdeka? Merdeka! Is it a Museum War Labuan? Is it Peace Park? People peace. So this is the time for them to remember. Is it true? The right answer is Labuan War Cemetery. You are guys correct. And Dataran Merdeka Labuan nobody, which is good. Good job, guys. Good job. All right. Okay. Jeff, you are in fire. Wong MC still okay, and Han Robson. You are number 3. Bukan Irwin. Are you still there? You still there? How you do it? And Melina Amboy. Okay. So here we go. All right. The last question, right? Is it? So I pray for for those yang top, and for those yang tidak menang, jangan give up. There will be a next time. Hope lah kan. This section. So nice, Jeff. Okay, the last. Oh no, this 9. What was the Remembrance Day called originally? I remember Mr. Willie did mention about this. Yes, I know Mr. Richard just touched about it, but the one who mentioned it is Mr. Willie. So who are they? Is it Heroes Days? Is it the Soldier Day? You know to remember the fallen hero. I keep repeating. The right answer is yes. Good job, guys. The green. Yes, that's the right answer. So yeah, good job. And Memorial Day. I know it's confusing. It's the place. It's Memorial Park. But yeah, good job. Let's see who did a good job. There's no more bukan Irwin. Jeff, you are top. I believe you. There's a high potential you're gonna win this. And then Nor Hayati, and also Melissa Amboy. Wow, you guys, almost get the second place. Sponsored by Macabes, which is me and my company. Sempat lagi promo. But you guys can fight 2 and 3. And then you know what? Wong MC and Imanir Shade, if I pronounce right. If you guys answer very fast, you have chance to grab the top 2 or top 3. Okay, here we go. For those yang tidak berjaya, jangan give up. There will be next time. Who knows, right? Okay, here we go. I hope you guys enjoy. The last question is, what flower are worn during Remembrance Day? I believe our first and second speaker did mention it. In fact, Mr. Richard did mention the very beginning. The beginning. Is it plum sunflowers? Seriously. But yeah, almost time's up. Yes, you guys are right. Poppies is the right one. Good job, guys. Good job. And then sunflower, nobody answer. All right, good job. Okay, are you guys ready? Okay, let's start out. The organizer and myself, the sponsor, please pay attention, guys. Here we go. Number 3, Imanir Shade. I hope I pronounced correct. Number 2, Melina Amboy. And the first one is Jeff. Congratulations. All right, good job, guys. Good job. Write down in the comment, okay? Write in the comment, and we're gonna hunt you down, Che. And then please claim the prize. All right, don't forget to register. All right, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm gonna stop sharing. I hope you guys enjoy the session, and congratulations, you guys won. You mostly in Labuan, the prizes. Some of you gonna won the top, of course, the number one is the winner of the quiz. MVP luxury car rental book sponsored by Empire Hornbill Travel and Tour. So Rahat, and second prize. Very very good job. Okay, to get this staying in the Desa Tuna Sijau 2 days 1 night with the ATV, boat, and kayak worth of 400, sponsored by Market Best for the shopper. And the third prize is you still have a accommodation twin sharing hotel room worth of 300 with sedan car, sponsored by Empire Hornbill Travel and Tour. Thank you so much, all the sponsor. Thank you so much. Oh, what an amazing journey. Oops. I um that's it. I hope you guys enjoy with this session. Thank you so much. My last question to the panel: what are your guys' punya plan? Before we end this, can you guys share? Mr. Willie first. Can you share your plan next after this? Maybe next year. You have any plan? And after that, Mr. Richard. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Erwin. I think a job well done, to all the team, backstage, which you can't see them, who you can't see. So I think they do a very good job. For my plans, well, I'll be happy to help where I can, there's anything that, you think I can help you in a way, I'll be happy. Or the general public in Labuan also, if there's anything I can do for them. So please feel free, let me know. Thank you.
Mr. Richard.
Um, yeah, I guess because we've been affected by the pandemic, right, over the last 2 years. I think what we really want to do next is to organize a perhaps a large scale photographic exhibition, probably in KK or somewhere. I guess it's more ideal to do it in KK, lah, I guess, or Sandakan, either places. And really get people to be more involved in the contribution of Sabah's history, lah. So I guess I think a lot of people or young people, they are very interested to know more about our history and everything. So hopefully we can get to do more activities, more awareness, and perhaps we can also consider try to push some initiatives to even save some of the historic sites in Sabah. I believe there are a lot of them. In fact, a couple of years ago, we managed to save the old Malalap train station. It was actually earmarked to be demolished initially, but now it has been designated as one of the Sabah's heritage under during when Madam Joanna Kittingan was the museum director. So I hope we can do more of this. A lot of the sites around Sabah, they actually have a lot of historical values. So hopefully people don't just simply demolish them. So okay, that's just some of our aspirations lah over the next 12 months.
Thank you. Thank you so much for both of you. Wonderful panels. I hope you guys enjoy. Actually, we are over 30 minutes. But again, thank you so much of especially the audience, the viewer who are since the beginning until now. Thank you so much. But this is not the last. Okay, please keep in touch. With Mr. Richard, Mr. Willie, or myself. Also, I want to give thanks, special thanks to the organizer, Cynic, to us, especially to Vivianti, Fazlan, Cheng, has been doing this behind the scene yang you guys tidak nampak. Of course, to Mazri and the team, like Hidayah and also Nana, thank you so much. We also have rehearsal before this as well. Again, thank you so much again, or to the sponsor, to the direct and indirect, the stakeholder. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy. That's all from us. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe. Please keep in touch. And I'm gonna hand down the winners and congratulations for you for those yang apa. I get all the WhatsApp comment from people that who know me that suddenly tidak dapat nomor 10. Don't worry, there'll be next time, guys. Don't worry. And congratulations to the winner. And yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Richard, Mr. Willie. Thank you so much for the wonderful sharing experience. I hope inspired to the people, to the filmmaker, to the audience. Really, cherish our heritage, our story. In the North Borneo. Thank you so much. That's it from us. I'm Erwin, your moderator. Thank you so much. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone.